Hello, today we're going to talk about sewing. So the very first thing you want to do for sewing is to get your sewing menu, and it looks like this. It'll walk you through the steps I'm getting ready to go over. The sewing menu says that you're going to need a needle. So I've got two kinds of needles in the art room. I have the silver metal ones, and then I have the blue ones. They're both the same thing. They're both dull, but you still don't want to poke anybody with it. And then it says you're going to want to use either a plastic canvas like this. Now, if you use a plastic canvas, then you have to use the metal needle because the blue ones do not fit. Or you can get a piece of cloth. So I have lots of cloth. I have cloth samples like this. And if you want to make your sewing on that, then you'll just pull or cut off the sample paper that's on it, okay? Or I have burlap cloth like this, and some of it is in a hoop, and some of it's just empty pieces of burlap. The hoop just helps hold it nice and tight and makes it a little bit easier, so you can do it with or without. Okay, so once you have your piece, then the menu says you also need your yarn. So my yarn is in a bucket like this, and it says pull here. You're going to select your piece of yarn, pull out about an arm's length, about as much as an arm, and then you're going to cut it off. Now when you cut it off, be careful that you don't cut it off really close, because then the yarn's going to fall into the bucket. You give it some room and you cut it off, and then someone else has yarn to work with. And then you have to thread your needle. Now to thread our needle, a lot of times people will just start poking the yarn in the needle, which would be okay, except this yarn starts falling apart. You'll see it starts to fray and it gets a big mess. So to thread our needle, we're actually going to make a loop, and then we're going to pinch our loop at the end, and then we're going to wiggle it up and down. So I have my yarn through the hole, okay? And then I'm going to pull it so that the ends are even. My two ends are the same. Now, this is the point where you tie a knot. If you don't know how to tie a knot, since I don't want to be doing 30 knots at a time, you can just leave it like that. But if you know how to tie a knot, like you would in your shoes, then you would go ahead and tie the knot. And you have your yarn, and you're ready to start. And it says, we can do a couple things. You can draw a design on that cloth with a Sharpie to get you started if you want to make a picture, or you can just start. So it also says we're going up and down. So I'm going up with my needle all the way to the end, and then I'm going down all the way to the end. Now something I don't want to do is go around, because if I go around like this, then it's going to hook onto the hoop, and I don't want that. So I'm just going up, and I'm pulling it all the way to the end, down, all the way to the end. And you can see that I have a couple examples here. This is a piece of fiber art that someone made a face, and this is one that they did abstract design. So you can really, any way you want to make it, you can, but you're using this yarn as a line. It's making a line. So up and down, and you are making your line. Now I got a little knot here, so instead of panicking or cutting it off, all I have to do is gently kind of wiggle it and then pull it through. Remember to pull it all the way through, and that'll help get those knots out too. Once you're finished with your design, well, actually, let me go over this. If you run out of yarn on your needle, then you're just going to cut it off. Say I ran out of yarn, I'm cutting it off. I'm just getting some more yarn and starting all over again. And once you have a finished piece, you can take it out of the hoop. Have a great